So for more, I want to bring in former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani to break this down for us. And Neama, first, I want your take on the two felony charges and also the one charge that this grand jury did not return an indictment on.
Alex, it's really a sad day for the Department of Justice, where Comey is being charged not for leaking this information in 2017, because the statute of limitations has run on that, but for lying about it to Congress in 2020. Now, the 5-year statute of limitations on that was going to run on Tuesday. So the former interim U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, Eric Siebert, didn't think there was probable cause. He resigned. So Trump brought on a loyalist, Lindsay Halligan. She never prosecuted a case. And she personally went into that grand jury to get these indictments. She was unable to get an indictment on one of the counts. False statement was somehow able to convince 12 out of 23 grand jurors that there's enough probable cause related to another statement. And that statement was simply Comey telling Senator Ted Cruz that he stood by his earlier statement that he didn't authorize the leak. And then there's a similar charge related to the obstruction of Congress. So these are felonies that carry a potential 5-year sentence each, but obviously not very serious when you're looking at the range of felonies under federal law, which is why Comey hasn't been arrested. He'll likely just make an appearance in federal court.
Yeah, Neama, the timeline here is really interesting. Essentially, I mean, as you outlined, it's kind of a buzzer beater indictment here. But I want to get back to that interim U.S. attorney, Lindsay Halligan, for the Eastern District of Virginia. She was handpicked by President Trump to put on this case, and she put it on in front of jurors. But one of the things that you hear often about prosecutions and indictments, they always say, a DA can indict a ham sandwich here. But knowing that this was a case that other prosecutors in that office thought were too weak, I'm curious, did it surprise you that she was able to get an indictment?
It didn't surprise me, and this is why. And you're right, Alex. Grand jury will indict that proverbial ham sandwich. I put more than 1,000 people in federal prison. I never once failed to get an indictment on any charge. So the fact that Halligan was unable to do so with respect to one of the counts was surprising. And this is why. When you go into that grand jury, it's just you as the prosecutor with your witness, who's usually a law enforcement witness, a court reporter, and the grand jurors. There's no defendant. There's no defense attorney. They're not hearing the other side of the case. And the bar is really low. It's probable cause. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. That's why I think this case has problems. And look, I'm not naive to the political element here. I completely understand that a lot of people dislike Comey. Democrats don't like him because of the Hillary Clinton emails. Republicans and the president don't like him because of the Russia collusion investigation. But this isn't a case about politics. It's about the law. And if you can't convince 12 out of 23 grand jurors on one count, how are you going to get 12 out of 12 trial jurors in Northern Virginia that tends to skew predominantly Democrat? There's a lot of legal defenses here, and I know folks are happy about this, but it's not just about getting an indictment or charging someone. You got to get across the finish line and get a guilty verdict, and I don't think Halligan has the evidence in this case, especially when Comey has a lot of ready-made legal and factual defenses here.
All right, well, that arraignment is October 9th. Neama Rahmani, as always, I appreciate your insights, sir.
Thanks, Alex. Talk soon.